consultant. Last 50 years is in United States, and today also he is so popular. He is above 80, and he guided from the Bill Gates to various such world corporate leaders in India also, abroad also. And sir, your participation, and of course he's guiding us here at our center of MIT World Peace University, MIT group of institutions, all other our executive directors, other trustees, and even Professor Tapan Pandaji at the professional level, at the institution level, and also for the governance of our complete university, how we can make a robust system for further evolution of this very prestigious institution in the vastness of globe. So here is one such man who is guiding us. Thank you so much for your participation, sir, and your commitment, and we all feel very proud that all the diaspora who is at such position internationally doing so well. And of course Ashok Joshi ji, sir, thank you so much. You basically long back introduced Ram Charan Sahab. You yourself, you are a family and a friend for our beloved founder Dr. Karad, and of course Shri Sharad Chandra Darade Patil ji, who is again another your dear friend from young age, a very respected entrepreneur, I must say, and so many patents and other achievements you all are aware. Many professors, last 3, 4, 5 years he has interacted couple of occasions. तुमचंही मनापासून मी इथं स्वागत करतो अशोक जोशी सर. Dr. Chitnis, our Vice Chancellor. I am very happy that today we have Shri Sanjay Kamtekar ji, another corporate leader. I requested he is from United States, and again Ashok Joshi ji introduced Shri Sanjay Kamtekar ji, who is worldwide. He is working for various, the automobile sector and various other sectors. He's a senior corporate leader and the president in US. Over 1,000 people are reporting to him, and today he's very much from Maharashtra, and he's here with us. I said, why can't you also share your mind? So in the last minute you accepted our invitation. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Kamtekar ji. Professor Tapan Panda, Professor, आपका तो मैंने नाम लिया. Our dear Shri S.N. Pathan ji, who is again a very dear friend of our founder, and later after post-retirement we all know that he joined this organization and this peace mission almost a decade now, and before that also you contributed so well, and you are a great force for this institution. All of the respected dean, directors, and the teaching, non-teaching, all the staff, and Dr. Karad, he manifested this particular endowment lecture series long back, and through this manifestation of this very endowment lecture series, I want to say that the World Peace Dome, what we see today, I think in his life there are many such experiences he has shared on the various occasions, but I feel establishment of this very prestigious endowment lecture series way back 27 years before, he must have got all those ideas, and further the culmination what we see today, this World Peace Dome and various ideas, and the World Peace University, of course. We have been just discussing about this World Peace Center, but ultimately evolution of our MIT as an engineering college, and further now MIT World Peace University. I think this particular lecture series has played a very, very important role, my dear friends. So ये सब बताने के पीछे मकसद इतना ही है कि आप सब लोग एक छोटी सी शुरुआत, एक छोटा सा मैनिफेस्टेशन, कब इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज निकालने के बारे में भी, या एक इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज निकालने के बारे में भी कैसे उन्होंने मन में विचार लाया, और उसके बाद कैसे कैसे पिछले 40 सालों में क्या क्या हुआ, ये हम सब लोग काफ़ी ओकेजन्स के ऊपर सुनते आए हैं. लेकिन मैं आज के इस पर्टिकुलर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्रोग्राम, आई मस्ट से दैट दिस इज़ वन वे कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्रोग्राम्स. समर्पणानंदा जी, आपका यहाँ पे आज का आना, या सर आपका भी यहाँ पे आना, मतलब we have started one very important peace syllabus, which of course was introduced long back, 4 decades before, and very in a structured way now we are trying to imbibe that particular thought process in the minds of students. This is a small number of teachers, because parallelly our education delivery is going on in this very campus. So there are over 2,000 staff members, but out of which hardly 300-400 people are here. But idea is that in the next 7 days, for various sessions, various batches of people are going to be a part of it, and that is a tradition. From morning 7 we start till the evening 7 o'clock with the afternoon little break. This journey goes on, and all these very ideas of our founder to really penetrate at the bottom level. This particular endowment lecture series, when I say bottom level, particularly the final aim of any higher education center is to transform the students. And our mission is the life transformation of the students. You know, you may be a good engineer or a doctor or whatever area you may go into, but that very sentence of Swami Vivekananda, which inspired our founder, that unification of science and spirituality alone can bring peace to the mankind. And with that very motto, we, all the teaching fraternity, non-teaching fraternity, we are working relentlessly on this very mission that हम बच्चों के मन के ऊपर इसका परिणाम कैसे हो, ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैसे हो, और इन सब चीज़ों को इस पर्टिकुलर सीरीज़ के माध्यम से आगे ले जाने का हमारा प्रयास है। कल सुबह 7 बजे से योगा शुरू होता है, कुछ नए मेंबर्स होंगे, उनको आप एजुकेट करिए। बहुत अच्छे से हमारे पाड़ेकर जी यहाँ पे बैठे हुए, सर आपका भी यहाँ पे बहुत दिनों बाद दर्शन हुआ, आपका भी यहाँ पे स्वागत, अभिनंदन। और मैं इस पर्टिकुलर प्रोग्राम की तरफ कोई एक सेरेमोनियल प्रोग्राम की तरह नहीं देखता, और शायद आप भी इसकी तरफ सेरेमोनियल प्रोग्राम की तरह नहीं देखते। शायद गेस्ट जो आए हैं उनकी भूमिका से हो सकता है ये एक फॉर्मल प्रोग्राम आज यहाँ, बट ये हमारे लिए एक ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट का प्रोग्राम कहिए, कैपेसिटी डेवलपमेंट का प्रोग्राम, जो सपना, जो सीड थॉट हमारे फाउंडर सर ने विचार में लाया, उसको आपके माध्यम से मैं अपेक्षा करता हूँ कि हर बच्चे के माइंड में, आपके टीचर्स, आपके फेलो कलीग्स को हम इंस्पायर करके, विजिटिंग फैकल्टी के लोग, बाकी सब लोग, 18-20 हज़ार बच्चे अभी इस पर्टिकुलर कैंपस में पढ़ रहे हैं, तो ये पूरा विचार वो बॉटम पिरामिड तक हम कैसे हम लेके जा सकते हैं, उसके लिए मुझे लगता है ये एक कैटलिस्ट की तरह ये पर्टिकुलर एंडोमेंट लेक्चर सीरीज़ हमारे सबके लिए काम आएगी। मैं फिर से एक बार आपका सबका स्वागत करके मेरे 2 शब्द खत्म करता हूँ। थैंक यू रामचरण साहब, समर्पणानंदा जी, स्वामी जी आपका भी यहाँ पे स्वागत, अशोक जोशी साहब एंड संजय कामटेकर जी, नमस्कार, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much. A huge round of applause for our beloved Executive President, Shri Rahul V. Karad. Thank you. Absolutely. अगर इजाज़त हो और मैं मराठी में कहना चाहूँ तो इट्स नॉट अ फॉर्मल प्रोग्राम। अगर मराठी में सब लोग अगर फॅकल्टी समजते तो वो कहेंगे ही एक सगळ्यांसाठी आनंदाची पर्वणीच असते। 24 नोव्हेंबर ते 30 नोव्हेंबर ही सर्वांसाठी सकाळपासून सायंकाळपर्यंत एक आनंदाची पर्वणीच असते, और उसमें फिजिकल फूड, मेंटल फूड, इमोशनल फूड, साइकोलॉजिकल फूड, स्पिरिचुअल फूड, सभी प्रकार के फूड से हमारी तंदुरुस्ती का ख्याल रखा जाता है। सो यस, थैंक यू सो मच। एंड सो बिफोर वी इनवाइट अवर नेक्स्ट स्पीकर टुडे, आपको शायद पता होगा कि 1970 के दशक में महर्षि महेश योगी ही रिवोल्यूशनराइज द होल वर्ल्ड with the introduction of the meditation called as transcendental meditation. So our next speaker, Swami Ashutosh Ji or Straubel Ji, he is a former disciple of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Ji, but to know more about him, I'll request technical team to play a short film on the life and journey of Ashutosh Ji.
Swami Ashutosh Urs Straubel is born in 1954 in Basel, Switzerland. He received diploma in analytical chemistry in 1973 in Basel, but his deep focus was yoga and Indian philosophy. At the age of 10, yoga practice has become a fixed part of his daily routine. After several years, in 1970, transcendental meditation was discovered. He left everything and went to Maharishi in December 1973. Under Maharishi's guidance, he received training in many fields, did research in EEG, worked on different research projects at Maharishi European Research University, and became a teacher of transcendental meditation and started teaching many courses to thousands of people. He came to India for the first time in November 1980 to participate in the Vedic science course held by Maharishi in the Indian Express building at New Delhi. In October 1981, he became a founding member of Maharishi's Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. Then he did research and training under Rajvede, Vasudev Mulch and Dvivedi in Rasa Shastra for several years. After that, he did and practiced long meditations and studies in Ved and Upanishads, etc. for several years at the Maharishi Vedic University in Holland. Since 1996 January, he has lived in India full-time, and since 2011 he became citizen of India. Currently, he is running a Vedic ashram in Kausani, Uttaranchal with the goal to create a Vedic atmosphere in the home of the Veda, the Himalaya. Presently, 40 students are studying Ved in the Annamaya ashram. We warmly welcome Swami Ashutosh Urs Strobel.
Thank you so much. So please help me welcome spiritual guru Swami Ashutosh Ji, founder Annamaya Vedic Ashram, Uttarakhand. Have you given pen drive?
I have given a computer to Amit.
Acha, you have given computer?
Yes, Amit.
I'll arrange.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you for this heartening introduction. I must confess that today I felt like coming home. It was for me again the first time that I felt like being with Maharishi in a big assembly, like we used to have in the 70s and in the 80s when I lived with Maharishi together for 30 years. Ever so often we had these beautiful celebrations and gatherings and conferences. And after being now alone with my 40, 50 students, coming back here felt like coming back to the family of Maharishi, where we had this same feeling I had today, lighting the light together with our founding Professor Kare. So that was really very impressive. Now, as I was introduced,
Password, there's a password.
Now, when I was asked to come here, and I heard the name is a university with the name of World Peace, I had no idea that it actually so much establishment is going on such a grand scale. I was very impressed the whole morning. I have seen all the activities going on here, and I'm still trying to digest it. So, really, really very impressive. Now, yes, Maharishi has always taught his meditation with four selling points, out of which three are very easy to understand, which is mental potential and health and social behavior. But then there was a fourth point which was always very difficult to integrate, and how does a person start to meditate because he would be a contributor to world peace. That is very abstract and difficult to comprehend, and I have not understood it for many years. The first time Maharishi has shocked us it shocked me at least, when in 1979, you always must remember when USSR has attacked Afghanistan, Maharishi called us all to the hall and said, we have done a big mistake. we have forgotten to do the puja to Kartikeya. I said, what has an invasion of a USSR army to do with the puja of Kartikeya? This was slightly far above my head, but 1 year later I understood it. Maharishi gave a lecture in the Indian Express building where he explained this whole connection. But before I'm revealing that secret which lightened my mind up, I want to show you a little bit the research on which basis this whole principle is, that by having prayers like we have here, or by having meditation, or by having yogic flying, or by having all this spiritual, religious activity actually can bring world peace. And it has taken me many years to understand, and usually this presentation is 2 hours long, but I think in a country of Shree Tukaram, who has blended in his life the Adidevic with the Adhyatmic, with the Adibhautic, so in such a demonstrative way like no saint I know other than him. I think you will all understand it in 15 minutes. So you have seen that picture before of the holy tradition. On days, yes, there is Vasishta. Teaching of Vasishta is one source of that knowledge. He teaches to Lord Rama how to rule a kingdom so that there are no problems. Next slide. So in that, next slide. Back. Yeah, okay, field of he explains to Lord Rama, one slide back. He explains to Lord Rama that you have 5% of the population of your nation doing meditation. That will be enough to keep the nation free of problems, and everything will be healthy and no attacks and no crime, etc. Then he explains, and you can see there, the effect will not by verbal communication, but through primarily a physical effect on the body mediated directly by consciousness. Now this word consciousness, we have in English only one word. Like in Hindi you have only one word for snow, by the Eskimos they have 20. Now the same way in the Vedic tradition there are many words. In the Yoga Vasishtha there are 33 words for consciousness. They have all different shades, which show that the people who experience finer levels of consciousness, they have different degrees. Now the consciousness which is referring here must be what is described in the Mimamsa Sutras, the Kriya Shakti level of consciousness. Now the regular, and he also explains to Sri Ram, it's very important that the people are regularly. Otherwise, if they are not regularly, it will fall back and you will have problems. Next slide. Next slide. Now, he says that a group of siddhas who practice the meditation sutta will be enough to do for the peace of the nation. Next slide. Now, you see, meditation has one effect, but he explained that if you have siddhas, because the 5% inside the population you cannot control, you don't know whether they are doing it or not. But if you have a small group of siddhas who do also siddhis and yogic flying in your palace under one roof, that will be as effective as 5%. Unfortunately, Vasishta is not saying exactly how much you need, but he says that it's much more effective, especially because it's in a group. It will have an effect of squared. Now, I found in one other text, in the Shiva Samhita, where it says if the yogi lifts up and has the yogic flying effect, then he will purify the whole world, destroys the darkness in the world. Next slide. Now that is square root. This is the square root. That means the n square effect is what Vasishta refers to. And you know from science that a small unit of orderliness is much more powerful than a huge amount of chaos. Next slide. So that is the principle of this, and by that we can govern a nation in peace, happiness, prosperity, and in integrity, free of attacks, if we have enough people producing that effect. Next slide. We call this thing the Maharishi effect in honor of Maharishi, who emphasized it to the world, and is compared to the Meissner effect, where we have a complete state of orderliness in an electric current, where no penetrating field can go in. Same thing is with the kavach, you can say. Next slide. Purity basically is triumphing. Next slide. Now here we have our yogic flyers, and now let's see what effect they have. I showed you now the Brahman on the level of our Vedic texts. Now I'm showing you 3-4 of these modern science, because that is another proof which we have seen. Next slide. This was one of the first researches on yogi flying we did in 1978, where we sent in each nation, we had a group of people going to a certain district of a nation, like Rhode Island in the United States, and in other countries. In India we have taken New Delhi, in Germany we have taken Bavaria, in Switzerland, Uri, etc. So all the teachers who learned the yogic flying technique went there, and for several months were doing just that in that place, plus teaching meditation to as many people as possible, to see for the coming 3-4 years if the effect can be maintained. And we have taken a statistic of events in these from the government, statistic on different, next slide, we can see there. And if you look through it, then you will see that there are always superlatives. The largest decrease, the first time it decreased, the best, and you see it, suicide dropped, and divorce dropped, marriages increased, and traffic accidents, fatalities less, murder fell, all these different 12 parameters I think they have taken, were dramatic turnaround. Next slide. This research had a p-value of 1 in a million chance that it was a coincidence. It was combined with 3 more nations, New Delhi, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, and that was then published in the Journal of Mind and Behavior. Next slide. Now, this, in the same year, we tested in 5 places in the world, one in Puerto Rico. President Santosh invited us, and I mind you, whenever Maharishi has done these things, we informed the government or went by invitation. It's not that we came to the back door and tried out and see whether it works. No, we came to the front door and said, it will work, watch it out, test your statistics, observe what is happening in the nation. So we sent 160 people to Nicaragua and 140 to neighboring countries. And it was a dramatic turnaround. From the moment the people arrived there, the whole chaos which was in the country and thousands of people who have been dying stopped. President Santosh announced election, and the prisoners got released and all that. And the moment the people left, the whole thing collapsed again. Now, if you see in the African nations, Zambia and Zimbabwe, there we had also 16 people died average daily. The moment our people came, there were 56 people coming to Zambia. It stopped, it fell down to 3 people a day in the average. And when they left again, it went back to 16. It was just mind-blowing. And in the neighboring state of Zambia, in Lusaka, when our people arrived, 40 of them, the bombing of the city stopped. And then the government asked us to stay back so they can have peaceful elections, so we did. And after they left, again, it exploded. Same as in Iran. In Iran, Maharishi sent 200 people, and everything became quiet, and it was a very critical situation. It was the transition from the Shah to Khomeini. And then the Shah, the government did not extend the visas of our people. And Maharishi, I was sitting with him and he said, I feel cornered. I have the solution, but we cannot continue. And he was a little bit upset, and he instructed the people to leave immediately together in one charter flight. The plane has taken off, not even 1 hour, and the hotel burned down, and it was a complete chaos in the country. In the group next in Lebanon, there were, keep that slide. In Lebanon, there were 400 people in Israel, and in Syria about 120 people, and in Cyprus also. And that has put Lebanon for the entire duration of 3 months at peace. Lebanon had a very drastic civil war going on during those days. The moment discourses were over, the people left again. It was the biggest onslaught again in Beirut. And the group over there in Thailand, because there was a war building up between Cambodia and Vietnam, backed by USSR and USA, respectively. And that was very dangerous, and it was about to spill over to Thailand. 260 people went to Thailand and just did yogic flying there, and the whole thing stopped. Next slide. Now we can see this. Next slide. We can see in the statistics here, this was done by the Conflict and Peace Data Bank. When our people were there, this was the improvement according to that database. Next slide. And if you see it over 10 years, whenever we had conferences with big groups, which you just see in the next slide, we had this change. Now, Maharishi was convinced that we need a big group because he knew that the problem of all problems is always coming from the United States. So he needed a big group there to make US pure, and the square root out of 1% of the US population with 1,600 people. Next slide. So we have also a nice golden dome, not as high as here, but so there were 2 domes, one for the lady and one for the man, and they every day did the meditation together, and it had a huge, next slide, it had a huge effect on the life quality of the United States. Next slide. That is one of my favorite researchers, not because I'm a chemist by profession, but the thing is that what we did is we tested the level of happiness in the public of the city of Fairfield of people which are not practicing meditation. They are just under the influence of that effect. You see, the effect is interestingly in the Yoga Sutras. There is a sutta which says, Ahimsa Pratishtanyam Tatsanidau Vairatyageha. So Tatsanidau means in the vicinity. Now, Ahimsa Pratishtanyam does not mean not killing mosquitoes. It's not on that level. Ahimsa Pratishtanyam is on that level where we are completely in tune with all the laws of nature and not violating any laws of nature on that most refined level of consciousness. That means Ahimsa Pratishtanyam. Being established at that level, all crime in the vicinity. Tatsanidau means in the vicinity. Now this is the strange thing, but we will understand shortly why it is like that. So that is that what we have seen. Now these people, we asked their urine sample to test in the serotonin level by measuring the 5-hydroxyethyl amino acid, but we saw that during the time the group was less in the vacation time when the students went home, where there were less than 1,600 people, the serotonin level dropped by 400%. So it is just amazing. They had no idea why we measured them on top of it. Next slide. Now this is the research which blew everybody's mind. What we wanted to see is what is the effect on Lebanon if 200 people come and meditate and do yogic flying together in a hotel in Jerusalem West. Now, unfortunately for Lebanon, but fortunately for scientific research, there were no 200 people coming for these 2 months, October and September, and we had a fluctuation from 82 to 234, and as you can see, the life quality fluctuated with the amount of people. When our people were many, the life quality was nice. When our people went down, the life quality went down. Next slide. And we see, next slide. And we see the intensity scale of the war was exactly opposite. Whenever our people were many, that is the dotted line, then the war intensity was down, and when our people were less, then the war intensity was up. Now, we thought we have to show this to the world. What is the use of scientific research without showing it to the world? So we went to the Yale University. There's a journal for conflict resolution, to Dr. Rosset, and when he saw this, he looked at our scientists and asked, "Are you out of your mind?" Because he could not understand, and that was a problem which many people have, how in the world is this working? Where is the connection? What is actually happening? If we turn off on the light, we know there's somewhere a switch. Who does that? It's not any magic. Now, we know because there's a cable between the switch and the light. But where is the cable? What is the connection between a group doing something in a hotel, God knows what, with the reduction of war intensity or the improvement of the quality of life? Now, Dr. Rosset was not ready to publish it without further examination, and he asked his advisors what to do. Three didn't even want to get bothered about it, but one said, teach them a lesson. They should go and make a research and correlate it with weather conditions or festivals and stuff like this. And we said, okay, but send one person from your team to do that with us. There was no correlation found. The only thing which was correlated was the activity of the yogic flyers in a hotel which was about 150 kilometers away from Beirut. Next slide. Next slide. Now, next slide that we have already covered. He was then, Dr. Rosset eventually published it, but he made a remark saying that he was very astonished about it, and he kind of an editorial. Next slide. Now, we all knew in the 70s and in the 60s and 70s the problem of China, so Maharishi decided to make an air conditioning effect on China, and he had groups all around China in all the different countries like Nepal, in Laos, in Thailand, in Hong Kong, in Japan, in Korea. Next slide. And we know what eventually happened in China, the communist system. Next slide. Oh, this is a picture. Maharishi himself went in 1974 teaching 27,000 Nepalese. Next slide. So then Maharishi decided we have to have an effect, a global effect, because he was very much concerned about the Cold War and the possibility of Third World War, which he stopped single-handedly several times with all these groups. And that was one occasion which we found out later that during that time there was actually a plan of the USSR to attack, because they had a misunderstanding from the aggressive speeches President Reagan gave. That was in the early 80s when President Reagan just was the President of the United States. These were 7,000 people assembled there in Fairfield. Next slide. And that's what we see, what happened during those days. We see again the p-values are amazing. It is amazingly significant. Next slide. And the effect of 7 assemblies we can see is huge. All these people in different groups in different months. Next slide. 5 minutes. There you see huge effect during those times whenever this assemblies was in the world. Next slide. Now you see the p-value is 19 zeros. This is not heard of in sociological or psychological researches. Next slide. This was a group in Washington where we said to the police chief, you will see the crime rate goes down. He laughed and went to the TV and said, we need 2 feet of snow that the crime rate in Washington goes down. And it was a July course. Well, next slide. You see what happened. Our people came, crime rate went down as we predicted. We predicted 20%. It went down 23.3%. Next slide. So Maharishi was now really concerned to break the Berlin Wall. And he started to collect thousands of Vedic Pandits and met them in yogic flyers. That was a picture here of Maharishi Nagar in Noida. And we made huge yagyas, which was financed by the German movement. And he said in 1987, he said to Dr. Röder, from now on, you can count the days until the Berlin Wall fell in 1987. That was 2 years before it happened. Next slide. That was always Maharishi's thing. Yagyas and yogic flying in big groups, that will have the effect for the world. Next slide. And that brought then in 1919 the end of the Cold War and the fall of the wall. Next slide. Now that was a project we did with the whole nation in Africa, in what is it? Mozambique. Next slide, and we see Mozambique was a complete turnaround. From 13 years of civil war, the president finally decided to initiate 16,000 soldiers into TM, and New York Times, 3 months after that event, headline, Mozambique, an African success story. It completely turned around. Here comes the president to Holland to thank Maharishi for this whole thing. And up to today, now he's not president anymore, but he is still speaking and promoting. Next slide. Same thing in Cambodia. Next slide. Ecuador. Next slide. In the Colombia, President Santos, when he got the Nobel Prize for Peace in 2016, he said it's all because of the activities of TM in his country, due to this Christian priest, Father Meja, who initiates all the street children which are in drugs and street crime. He collects them and teaches them, and that has completely transformed the country. Next slide. Now I just want to explain you how it actually works. That is now the secret. In 1980, on the stage, there was Dr. B.D. Trikuna, who was the most famous Vaidya at that time of the country, and he explained to us, and there was Maharishi on the stage also, he said, when we eat food, then we transform it into the 7 dhatus, Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Macha, Shukra. Final and Shukra is Ojas, and final and Ojas is Soma. Now, then Dr. Keith Wallace, he asked, but how can we measure it? Is this something seen? And then Maharishi started to speak. And that cleared everything. And that's what I said at the beginning, in a country where Saint Tukaram was so prevalent, who has demonstrated the fusion of the Adidevic with the Adibhautic. All these things we cannot understand without introducing the Adidevic. That means Maharishi explained the somras which we produce in our meditation, that flows to the devas, and they get strengthened. He said the reason why the world is in such a chaos is because there is not enough production of soma. What Maharishi basically did his whole life, he was like a CEO running from one unit of soma factory around the world, where he had a few hundred people here and a few thousand people there, to make sure they produce enough soma so that devata level is strengthened. And that's how world peace is getting established. Next slide. Next slide. This is what I found in the 9th mandala of the Rig Veda. Very beautifully explained directly. It says, Soma, Lord of 4 regions, sprinkle of benefits, flow from Archika, effused by a truth-speaking, truthful man with faith and devotion, flow into for Indra. Satyena Shradhaya Tapasya. This is the state one has to be inward. By that we fuse the soma and the devas get strengthened, and that will eventually transform the world. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you so much. A huge round of applause, friends. Thank you so much. A standing ovation and a huge round of applause.
Friends, just a thought came to my mind when I saw his name as Swami Ashutosh Trouble Ji, but today an Indian citizen, addressing on yoga, meditation and the fire of knowledge divine. Can you let him come here? Can you come on this side? I just reminded of the Udupi Swamiji, Jnana Brahma Rushi aisi padvi hai. I felt that how passionate he is. From the bottom of heart, he has been speaking each and every word, trying to make the Indian people mostly to understand which country they belong to, what essence and philosophy their world religion has, what is the meaning of Vedas and Upanishads, and speaking to the end of the consciousness and reality. When this institution is trying to work on MIT School of Consciousness and Reality to make ourselves understand what is the essence and philosophy of all world religions. So I'm grateful to you. Once again, give me a big applause. I'm grateful. Let's join hands. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Square root of the 1% population of India 3000 से 3500 होता है. तो रिवेरेड कराड़ सर, अगर 3 से 3500 बच्चे हमारे यहाँ पे रोज़ अगर 30 से 40 मिनट का ध्यान करेंगे तो उसमें इतनी क्षमता है कि वी कैन ट्रांसफॉर्म द कॉन्शियसनेस ऑफ द होल इंडिया, अगर ये महर्षि इफेक्ट का अगर हम ये फॉर्मूला इस्तेमाल करते हैं. सो दैट इज़ अ पॉसिबिलिटी एंड इमेंसली कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द विश्व गुरु एज द ड्रीम ऑफ रिवेरेड प्रोफेसर कराड़ सर. So moving ahead, our next speaker is Dr. Sanjay Kamtekar ji. Sanjay Kamtekar ji is Divisional Vice President, Global Marketing Strategy, Kameka. He also served in Montic Inc., Nippon Kayaku Group Company as a Vice President and General Manager Sales, Marketing and Business Development. He did his MBA in Managerial Finance Strategy from DePaul Dryhouse College of Business, and then went on to do his MS and PhD in Analytical Instrumentation from University of Massachusetts, Lowell. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Sanjay Kamtekar ji.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm kind of odd man out here, I think, but I'm in a big company here. I'm a person of science and scientific inquiry. My work last 35 years is into business of scientific technology. And I met many scientists over the years. So today's topic kind of, science and spirituality. Luckily, being born in India, I feel that I'm lucky because by subconsciously we get this training about spirituality, Santavani, because of our cultural heritage. And I strongly believe, we do not, things never happen by chance. There is always an order, a bigger order. I met Professor Karad 7-8 years back when he was visiting Salt Lake City, and thanks to my mentor Dr. Joshi, So because of him I attended that function. Because I travel over the years for my work, but I attended that day that function in the Indian Culture Center, and I had a chance, opportunity to briefly talk to him. Professor Karad may not be remembering that it was a 5 minutes exchange, but his face lit up when he said, I have a background in physics. And he said, oh, so you understand what I'm talking about. And that's correct. As far as in simple language, the way I define, what science does, it tells us how things works, but it cannot explain why things works. And that's where the spirituality comes into the picture, right? This is the power of subconscious mind. We take scientific inquiry, we use our logic, we go through that, we design different experiments. So we push our logic, to get our answers to the hilt. But even in that scientific realm, that creativity part, that subconscious plays enormous role, which we overlook many times. And we're seen, there are examples like, elucidation of benzene ring or even DNA structure. Those scientists, they got that insight, when we're there, kind of dreaming or in a sleep. So basically their subconscious mind was awake. I'm not going to talk here. I just wanted to say why science people try to exclude and spirituality. These are not mutually exclusive words. It goes hand in hand. In the words of physicist Max Planck, once he wrote, "Science cannot be solved, the ultimate mystery of nature. That is because in the last analysis, we ourselves are the part of nature and therefore part of the mystery that we are trying to solve." So spiritual masters through the ages have devised methods, different those of science, for investigating this great mystery by immersing themselves and making us silence, stillness, solitude an example. So the conclusion is clear. Science and spirituality belongs to each other, and science alone cannot give anyone the full picture. Tapping into our own heritage, religious ideas and discourse, even if we apply these principles of science of inquiry, I feel from Sant Dnyaneshwara, Sant Tukaram, Eknathji, and as recent as Swami Vivekananda, these are the spiritual scientists. They taught us how to probe our subconscious mind. And I think we all know, last 30, 40 years, people started accepting that, considering, yes, science made our physical life better, but to handle the stresses, I think we need the spirituality. Over the years, after attending same conference over the years again and again, one of the scientists, one of the physicists asked me, "Sanjay, can you tell me in 1 or 2 lines what India gave?" We gave Western culture, or Western world gave science and made life beautiful. I say, yes, you are right. But we gave scientific inquiry into a subconscious mind. We provided those methods for thousands of years. I think you guys are lucky. You are part of this institution. It's not easy to have a vision, but implementing that vision in such a commercial world is not an easy task. And I'm not saying this to please anyone, because I strongly believe that, and you are the part of shaping the future generation. You are the people who will be making these tomorrow's entrepreneurs, scientists, engineers, and I feel like they are lucky that they got you, and they are going out in the commercial world, well equipped to handle the stresses. The functionality, it will come from their scientific training, but they will handle life through this spirituality. Here I will stop. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I'm glad that I'm here. Thank you.
A huge round of applause. Thank you so much. A perfect 10 he scored at the minute of the 5th minute. He completed. And well said, sir, that part cannot solve the whole, or the problems of the mind cannot be solved at the level of the mind, and therefore we need to go beyond mind. Then only we can handle the problems. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful lecture. Next, moving ahead, we are going to have a very, very special guest, Swami Sampurnanandaji. He is the author and monk, Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math, and he has been the prolific speaker and visiting IITs and IIMs. So to take a look at all his life and journey, I request technical team to play a short video on his life and journey.
Swami Samarpananand is an author and a monk of the Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math. He is a teacher at Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda University, Belur campus. He has been a guest lecturer at the IITs and IIMs. He came in contact with the monks of the Ramakrishna order as a young student. Inspired by them, he joined the organization at the age of 20 and became sannyasin at the age of 30. Since his joining, he has worked at various centers of the Ramakrishna order, including Devghar, Advaita Ashram, Narendrapur, Kanpur, and various others. He was principal of Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, Devghar, and was the head of Ramakrishna Mission, Chapra, Bihar. Presently, he teaches ancient and modern scriptures at Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Educational and Research Institute. His work experience ranges from teaching to management through a lot of other responsibilities. He writes regularly for newspapers and journals like Prabuddha Bharata and Vedanta Kesari. He is well known as an author and a speaker. His first book, Tia, A Parrot's Journey Home, was published in 2009. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam highly appreciated the book and recommended it freely as one of the top 5 must-read books. Tia is a suggested read for English for class 11th and 12th under CBSE curriculum. The prime focus of his works is self-realization. Major books written by him include Tia, A Parrot's Journey Home, Param, Jungle Zen Sheru, Carving a Sky, A Perspective on Life. We warmly welcome Swami Samarpanananda.
Thank you so much. Please welcome with a round of applause Swami Samarpanananda ji.
ॐ सहनाववतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ. Well, dear Vishwanath Karad ji and all the dignitaries present here on the dais, that includes Dr. Ashok Joshi, Swami Ashutosh ji, and Dr. Sanjay Kamitkar, and Professor Ram Charan ji, Professor Dr. R.M. Chitnis. Above all, my dear audience who have been listening to these talks patiently and who will be listening to the talks patiently for maybe the next 1 hour or so. Now, before I begin, I must say that I have tremendous respect for Pune, and somehow I was deeply attracted to Pune since my childhood, partly because of Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji and Gandhi ji, with whom Yerawada jail, I hope it is still there, it's connected inextricably. And then when I grew up, came to know about Bhandarkar Oriental Institute. The first time I came to Pune was in 2008. Symbiosis Institute had invited me, and then I requested my center here at Ramakrishna Math Pune to take me there. I just wanted to pay my respects. Now, a fourth thing has been added, and that is Dr. Karad. So, amazing personality. I didn't know about him. And I must say, sorry, volume is too high. I'm sorry that surprising that I didn't know about him, because actually I don't interact much with the outside world. And the more I come to know about him, more surprised I am, and he is a really great wonder, particularly because for the last 42 years, I'm a monk with the Ramakrishna Mission. Before that, 10 years. That means practically since I was 9 years old, I am connected with the Ramakrishna Mission and with Swami Vivekananda. Now, when Swamiji was talking about Karma Yogi, when he was talking about uplift of India, and when he was telling that education is the panacea of all the evils of the country, you certainly find Dr. Karad, the living specimen of all that Swamiji was talking about. Believe me, I am speaking from heart. I am extremely infamous for being extremely politically incorrect. I am not a person who talks political correct statements. And when I am saying Dr. Karad is a great man, he is a great man. Give a big hand. Indeed. Yesterday I went to visit the other center. I don't know the place where we have the largest dome. I was so surprised. My God, what a great institute. Just food and technology, that institute. Such a huge thing. I didn't have any idea about this, and well, I missed it. Now, when I was invited to talk for this 27th Sant Dnyaneshwara and Sant Tukaram Endowment lecture, so I really didn't know much about it, but I definitely felt privileged. Then my head, Srimad Swami Atma Priyanji, who himself used to be a scientist and now is a monk, is pro-chancellor of our university. And so he started speaking highly of Dr. Karad, and then, well, that's how I got the enthusiasm and I agreed in a hurry. Now, I was asked to talk about scriptures, how scriptures give you life. Well, let me give you a very simple example, which I picked up from Dr. Sanjay Kamitkarji, when he was talking about how and why. Oh my God, 5 minutes already over. So, Swami Vivekananda, when he went to the West, he had an interaction with Robert Ingersoll, who was a crass materialist. While talking to Swami Vivekananda, he had said, look, we are sure of this life. We don't know what lies beyond. So why talk about something? And then he pointed at an orange and said, here is this orange, I know I have to take the juice of it. That's what I'm sure of. Why worry about anything else? Swami Vivekananda instantly said, well, being an Oriental, my choice of fruit is different. It's mango. I know I am in no hurry. I want to drink every drop of it. Every drop of it. Sorry, volume थोड़ा कम करना. इसके बिना भी हो जाएगा. See, it's a wrong notion. People have absolutely wrong idea about India that we don't enjoy life. Just that we want to enjoy every drop of it, every pint of it, we don't want to let go of anything, and we are in no hurry. A man in hurry never enjoys life. You people, because of technology, because of the new developments, because of the cyber developments, you are always in a hurry. How can you enjoy food? Food has become fast food. How can you enjoy food? Everything is blip and click. You marry on blip and click. You divorce on blip and click. You take a job in blip and click. You give up the job, blip and click. Are you enjoying life? Is this life? No. And that is what our sages had said. No. This is not everything. There is more to life than what meets the eyes. And that's how, when we look back, maybe 8,000 years, 10,000 years ago, on the banks of Indus, which now lies with Pakistan, there was this great civilization. You can call it by any name. We simply call it Aryans. And there were some great ones who went into silence, as Sir was talking about silence. They went into silence, and as they went into silence, layers of truth started getting unraveled before them. For example, those of you who might have tried your hands at poetry would know that poetry is not a product of words. Poetry is a product of silence. And when silence becomes deeper, it becomes meditation. And as you go deeper into meditation, it becomes samadhi. It's only during meditation, it's only during samadhi that you come face to face with truth related to creator and creation. If you really want to know what creation is about, if you want to know who is creator, how did he create the world, what's the mystery behind creation, you will have to get into samadhi. And when they went, say tens of thousands of years ago, what exactly they realized and how they passed on. This story is Ved. Whatever these sages realized came to be known as Ved, which was later organized into 4 by Vyasa. Interestingly, the spiritual truths that they gave, This was not one-off. There were many sages, and the tradition continued. So we have Sant Dnyaneshwara, Sant Tukaram, and Maharashtra is the land of the saints. Different parts of the country might have produced different kinds of people, but when it comes to saints, it's Maharashtra. That's why there is a Maha before its name. The tradition continues. And in this tradition only, we had Swami Vivekananda who was talking about the truth of the Veda. And what was that truth? The most important thing, because we will not go into the details, most important is Ekam Sad Vipra Bahutha Vadanti. Truth is one. Sages call it by various names. It's not only about the gods, it's not only about different religions, it's about everything. There is only one truth, and that truth is God. And that God is called by various names. When we worship, we call them Ram, we call them Krishna, we call them Kali, we call them by various names. When we come down to lower level, we call them man, we call them woman, we call them child, we call them sick, we call them illiterate, we call them educated. Tvam Sri, Tvam Pumanasi, this is from Ved. Says, oh Lord, you are the female, you are the male, you are the child, you are the tottering old man. You alone have become everything. See, these truths, as I said, these are not poetry. They are not any sermon. These are fundamental truths applied in life, and you can become blessed. How? Once you know that God alone is true and you are one with it. This is what Vedanta is. You might have heard of this term Vedanta. What is Vedanta? It's the essence of the Ved. What exactly Ved want to tell? They want to say that you are divine. And the best explanation, the best definition of Vedanta as being the preacher of the divine came from Swami Vivekananda when he famously said, education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. You are divine. Through education, your divinity gets manifested. Religion is the manifestation of the divinity. And he said, civilization, when you call a country civilized, is the divinity that's getting expressed. Not only that, he went on to say evolution. Evolution is the divinity that is already in a soul. It's the soul manifesting itself. And that's how the evolution takes place. It's all about divinity. Hindu religion is all about divinity. See, nowadays we hear a lot of criticism from different quarters. There are liberals, then there are communists. No, I don't want to name them. The thing is, they are talking about as we are the irrational people, we have these practices, that practices. What are you comparing with what? You take up your ideal and you compare with our practices. This is unfair. If you want to practice, compare your practices with my practices, compare your ideal with ideal, and let's see where you stand. I have a communist friend, a very good friend of mine. He was once talking about, we talk about equality of men. I said, we talk about the divinity of men. If you have to talk equally. Talk at the same level. Don't compare this with that. You are taking your philosophy, your ideals, and comparing with my practices, and practices of whom? Persons who are spiritually ignorant, spiritually challenged persons. That's not how comparisons are made. But what is there for me and for you? The time is so limited, I can... anyway, so see, one of the finest Upanishads, which is part of the Ved itself, Yajurved, Shukla Yajurved, known as Ishavasya Upanishad, it says, once you realize that everything is divine and you are divine, tatruko mohaka shoka, what kind of delusion you can have? What kind of sorrow you have? Do you have sorrow? Here, dear audience, have you ever felt sad? Ever in your life? Why? Why did you feel sad? Because you thought you are a body, you are a human being. You thought you love this person, you love that person. Why? Because you forcibly limited yourself. When you forcibly limit yourself, your sufferings begin, your delusion begins, your tears roll down your cheeks. You realize that you are divine, you realize that you are one with the whole. How can there be any suffering? Because there is no two. Who can terrify you? No one can terrify you. Who can educate you? No can, because all education is, every knowledge is within you, and it famously says, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. All knowledge is within you. You are not going to achieve anything after your death. Whatever you have to achieve, you will achieve here. It says, Yahav Tait Jita Sargo. See, this religion, this sect, this belief, that belief. Either they will say that there is nothing after death, or they will say, you will go to heaven after death. You go kill some people and die, and heaven, doors of the heaven are opened for you. No, Hindu religion doesn't talk in that way. Whatever mention is there of the heaven or whatever it is just figurative. It says, Yahav Tait Jita Sargo. Whatever you want to attain, whatever you want to achieve, you have to do it here and now. Dear students, if anyone of in the audience, if we have students, please remember, you cannot leave anything for tomorrow. I love Mr. Karad because I find that he seems to be a man in a hurry. He's not a man in a hurry. He's a man who believes in here and now. Whatever has to be done here and now. Don't postpone it. Don't leave it for others. You do it. Take every responsibility, whatever is good, whatever is bad, on your own shoulders, because there is no one else other than you. No one else other than you. Well, in brief, this is what the life of the Hindus, according to scriptures, not only of the Hindus, of the whole world should be. That same Ishavasya Upanishad says very beautifully, Kasya Svidhanam. Why are you running after this? Why are you running after that? After all, who has ever gained wealth? It comes and goes. Be established in Tyaga, because God alone exists. It doesn't force any idea on you and says, if you don't want to believe it, if you cannot practice it, don't. But at least be a karma yogi. As I mentioned, Mr. Karad, he's doing a lot. Do. Serve others, because after all, they are you. It's not Hindu, Muslim, it's not India, Pakistan, they are them. Now, till they learn, you have to be careful, no doubt about it. You cannot, because you have not realized this truth, the fear of your annihilation is very much there. Now, we are not getting into that issue. The thing is, they are not your brothers. They are not your own. They are you. They are your reflection. Absolutely, there cannot be any kind of discrimination. This is what Hinduism has practiced for the last 10,000 years. This is what it will practice. It cannot change. Even if some politician, even if some thinker wants to change, he cannot change it. This is known as Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya. Brahman alone exists. There is nothing else. Stand on your feet. Be brave. Know that all power, all knowledge is within you, and move ahead. Dear audience, in that great tradition, like when I came here just before the inauguration, Mr. Karad lit a mashal and we all held it. It was like a relay race. That mashal, the lamp, it was handed down to us. We carried it to some length. Now I'm getting old. Mr. Karad is getting old. And people who held it, many of them are gone. Many are getting old. The responsibility now lies on you. Dear listeners, those of you who are young, the responsibility of carrying on with this lamp lies with you. Wake up, get up, and carry this great message of the Vedas, Hinduism, and India forward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Standing ovation, a round of applause to Swami Sampunanandaji, a huge round of applause. Such a huge inspiration, Swamiji. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Thank you. Thank you so much. With the persistent wish of our beloved Executive President, Shri Rahul V. Karad sir, next year a huge event is occurring in Mumbai, National Legislators Conference. To know about that, I would request Professor Parimal Maya Sudhakar to brief on NLC 2023.
Respected dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. In the year 1996, Revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir has initiated this great journey to inspire people to come together to establish peace and harmony. This journey was further taken forward by Shri Rahul Karad sir in the year 2005 when he established the School of Government to inspire and encourage the youth to join politics, to serve the country through the politics. The School of Government has given birth to many social initiatives like Bharatiya Chhatra Sansad, National Women's Parliament, Rashtriya Sarpanch Sansad, National Teachers Congress, and has galvanized our society to work in cohesion to make our democracy a better democracy and eventually the best democracy in the world. Now this journey of making our democracy the best democracy, it is taking a new giant leap in the year 2023, wherein the prominent leaders of our country, many speakers of state assemblies, they are coming together under the banner of School of Government to organize National Legislatures Conference, wherein elected representatives of all the state assemblies and state councils, for the first time in our history, are coming together to brainstorm on, to think upon the future of our democracy. I request our technical team to play a concept film on the National Legislatures Conference.
शिवराज पाटिल जी, मनोहर जोशी जी, मीरा कुमार जी, भारत विश्व के सबसे विशाल लोकतंत्र के 75 साल, इन ऐतिहासिक पलों को महत्वपूर्ण बना रहा है लोकतंत्र का महाकुंभ यानी प्रथम राष्ट्रीय विधायक सम्मेलन का भव्य आयोजन। आदरणीय शिवराज पाटिल जी, मनोहर जोशी जी, मीरा कुमार जी और सुमित्रा महाजन जी के कुशल मार्गदर्शन में 50 से भी ज्यादा राष्ट्रीय और क्षेत्रीय राजनीतिक दलों की भागीदारी। भारत के राजनीतिक इतिहास में पहली बार एक गैर राजनीतिक मंच पर एकत्रित होंगे भारत के 28 राज्यों और 8 केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों के 4000 से भी ज्यादा निर्वाचित प्रतिनिधि। इस 3 दिवसीय वैचारिक मंथन में होंगे 40 से ज्यादा समानांतर सत्र जो तय करेंगे नए भारत की सुनहरी तस्वीर, जैसे कि विधायकों के प्रदर्शन में सुधार, सुशासन के लिए नए प्रयोग, सामाजिक समावेश पर आधारित भारत का आर्थिक विकास, कैसे बने सफल और संवेदनशील जनप्रतिनिधि, भारतीय लोकतंत्र को एक नई दिशा में ले जाने वाला भागीरथी प्रयास, यानी राष्ट्रीय विधायक सम्मेलन 2023। क्या है ये राष्ट्रीय विधायक सम्मेलन? एक मंच जो विधायकों को अपने दायित्वों के निर्वहन में करेगा और अधिक सक्षम, जिससे शक्तिशाली होगा हमारा लोकतंत्र। इस मंच पर होगी जनप्रतिनिधियों के समक्ष आने वाली चुनौतियों पर चर्चा, जातिवाद, सांप्रदायिकता, भ्रष्टाचार और अपराधीकरण जैसी ज्वलंत समस्याओं पर होगा विस्तृत विचार मंथन। राष्ट्रीय विधायक सम्मेलन 2023 जो लिखेगा भारतीय राजनीति की एक नई इबारत, जहां विभिन्न राजनीतिक विचारधाराएं आपसी मतभेदों को भुलाकर करेंगी लोकतंत्र को शक्तिशाली बनाने का अमृत मंथन, जहां मिलेगी युवाओं को राजनीति में आने की प्रेरणा, जहां लिखा जाएगा सुशासन, नेतृत्व, लोकतंत्र और विश्व शांति निर्माण का एक नया अध्याय। भारतीय लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों से मिलेगी दुनिया को प्रेरणा, जहां भारत को केवल सबसे बड़ा ही नहीं बल्कि सर्वश्रेष्ठ लोकतंत्र बनाने का होगा महायज्ञ। एक ऐसा यज्ञ जो ले जाएगा हमें परिवर्तन की ओर, आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर। भारतीय राजनीतिक इतिहास में उभर रहा है एक नया वैचारिक मंच, पहला राष्ट्रीय विधायक सम्मेलन 2023, नेशनल Legislators Conference 2023.
On behalf of Shri Vishwanath Karad sir and Shri Rahul Karad sir, I appeal to all of you to be part of this historic mission and contribute in the success of National Legislatures Conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A huge round of applause for this wonderful concept. The concept is so big. Thousands of legislators for the first time under one roof. And thank you so much, Executive President sir, for this wonderful opportunity. Before we invite revered Vishwadharmi Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad sir, Professor Swamiji Samarpanananda ji said, Karma Yogi. Professor Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, a tremendous Karma Yogi, even at the age of 81 plus, सुबह से लेके तो शाम तक, रात तक, just passionate about world peace, और उसी का जो एक crystallization है, वो हुआ है in the form of philosopher Sant Shree Dnyaneshwara, World Peace Prayer Hall, and World Peace Library. It is called as the largest dome in the world in terms of diameter of 160 feet and height of 263 feet. It's an architectural marvel. The whole concept, design, planning, architecture, execution, everything and anything just by the divine hands and minds of revered Vishwadharmi Professor Dr. Vishwanath D. Karad sir. जो उनका एक जुनून है कि भारत विश्वगुरु बनना चाहिए, अगर ये विश्वगुरु बनना है तो जो सबसे बड़ा मैसेज जाने वाला है वो इस वर्ल्ड पीस डोम के थ्रू ही जा सकता है. इनफैक्ट द लार्जेस्ट रोल कंट्रीब्यूटर विल बी थ्रू दिस वर्ल्ड पीस डोम. आइए देखते हैं इस आर्किटेक्चरल मार्वल का एस्टोनिशिंग वीडियो सो दैट वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड द डिवाइन हैंड्स इनटू द क्रिएशन ऑफ दिस डोम. लेट्स वॉच द वर्ल्ड पीस डोम वीडियो.
इक्कीसवीं शताब्दी में मेरी भारत माता विश्व गुरु बनने की काबिलियत रखता है. इट विल बिकम अ विश्व गुरु इन द 21st सेंचुरी. उसका छोटा सा उदाहरण, छोटा सा सिंबल यहाँ बन गया है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है.
We have only two options. Either we live together or we perish together. It is in this context, this monument will stand.
We look at this magnificent dome. To me, this is not just the biggest dome in the world. To me, this is the biggest idea, the biggest message to the world.
This country has always propagated one thought, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, my dear friends. I must say that in the entire history after the independence since 1947, this is one of the unique steps towards the contribution of universal humanity. I appeal to the Vice President and Honorable Chief Minister to recognize this World Peace Dome as a structure of national and global importance and support to promote it in such a way that it evolves as one of the prominent tourism destinations of the world.
We should remember and respect like Professor Vishwanath Karad and millions of people like that, and remember the great service they have done. They should be remembered forever. That is also equally important for all of us. This is the message of this dome. This is the idea of the dome. This is the tallest, not only in size, but also in ideas.
Please put your hands together in welcoming the creator of the spiritually oriented scientific laboratory, UNESCO chairholder, revered Professor Dr. Vishwanath Ji Karad sir, founder and chief patron, MITS MIT Pune, and president MIT World Peace University, and creator of the philosopher Sant Shree Dnyaneshwara, World Peace Prayer Hall, World Peace Library, world's biggest dome for the biggest message of peace. Please put your hands together with a thunderous applause.
Friends, when I stand before you, especially on this unique occasion of the 27th philosopher Sant Shree Dnyaneshwara and Sant Shree Tukaram Endowment Lecture Series, which was started long back in the year 1996. 27 years journey, but I have been reminded myself that it was my great good fortune, and I have been always trying to search for understanding the role of men of science, men of religion, spirituality, and men of philosophy. As far as I know, that normally that time the men of science, religion and philosophy, they never normally came on the common platform. As if the great men of science and technology, the advanced technology of today, modern technology, they always felt that these saints and rishis and munis, the two great people are sitting here in the saffron color and white color. स्वामी समर्पणानंद जी, त्याग और समर्पण दोनों का जिसके जीवन में मिलन है, पूरा संयोग है, ऐसे यहाँ पे द ग्रेट स्वामी समर्पणानंद जी, मैं बोला त्याग और समर्पण की भाषा, एंड द अदर जेंटलमैन अबाउट whom I was very carefully trying to listen the words of wisdom both of them spoke. Swami Ashutosh Straubel जी, पता नहीं जन्म कहाँ हुआ, किस माता पिता के जीवन में यह सपूत पैदा हुआ, but when he said at the end about his great Guru, and then he made a mention to you friends that he has been trying to practice and understand what the Vedic literature stands for, what yoga stands for, what that very word Om, which is a universal word, stands for. And finally he told us that he is now today an Indian, completely involved and engaged in understanding this essence and philosophy of world religions and essence and philosophy of the human life itself. It was something very unique, and when I see at the center, just by my side, Dr. Ram Charan Sahab, who has been a great guru, डबल PhD, BHD from बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, आपके यूनिवर्सिटी से हैं वो, हाँ, और बाद में MIT Boston, another PhD, and advisor to MIT Boston in the governing or the managing council. How many qualifications I don't know, but he is at the center and the two Swamis and Rishis are sitting by his side. And we are discussing on this very issue of understanding the essence and philosophy of what world religion stands for, what science stands for. मेरे मन में था जब मेरे गुरु मार्गदर्शक जो आज नहीं है, the great man who wrote about 35 books on philosophy, mathematics and also science, very unique combination. World-known philosopher who donated 1800 acres of his own land for the cause of education in Nagpur. But he was an atheist. देव को मानते नहीं थे. मैं तो पागल देव को मानने वाला हूँ, ईश्वर की पूजा करता हूँ. ईश्वर का नाम क्या है, राम है क्या, रहीम है क्या, जीसस है, पता नहीं. राम रहीम जो भी नाम लो, जीसस का नाम लो. I am a firm believer that there is an invisible force or a energy which prevails and binds this entire universe together. ब्रह्मांड की बात करो, यूनिवर्स की बात करो, गॉड पार्टिकल की बात करो, सारी पूरी सिद्धता इतने सालों के बाद थोड़ा ध्यान में आया है, पूरा नहीं. लेकिन इनको समझने के लिए ये लोग आए तो रामचरण साहब के बारे में इतना कहूँगा कि वर्ल्ड मैनेजमेंट काउंसिल बन जाता है आगे. मेरा सुझाव है राम साहब को. ये कौन है, क्या है, भारत का एक सपूत अमेरिका में जाके सारी दुनिया के द टॉप मोस्ट बिजनेसमैन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, यू टेक एनी नेम, द टॉप मोस्ट, अंबानी, हमारे यहाँ टाटा, बिरला, अमेरिका के जितने बिजनेसमैन हैं, इनके ये एडवाइज़र है. किसमें? बिजनेस, प्रोफेशन, बट नॉट ओनली मार्केटिंग. ऐसा गुरु बैठा है बीच में और दोनों बाजू ये हमारे सन्यासी संत ऋषि मुनि बैठे हैं. हमारे दूसरे दोस्त भी है, मेरा अशोक जोशी. ये कौन है आपको पता लगा? 5 मिनट में बात किया उसने. My classmate, my batchmate, we were together. I don't know, I met him after 40 years in Chicago for the World Parliament of some such religion. मुझे याद आती है 1996, this very hall which was under construction. Up to 4 o'clock early in the morning, the pandal was being erected. At 4:30, people were sweeping the floor, the cement and the water, the mixture, and early morning was the World Parliament, 8 o'clock. I still remember the most challenging, most difficult situations, but there is some invisible force which guides you, if you believe it. उसकी याद आती है 96 की, and I was trying to know whether our sense, like Sant Dnyaneshwara, Tukaram, Eknath, Namdev, Guru Nanak, Vivekananda, whether they were philosophers or not. Or the question, and friends, remember the good fortune for us that today we have one of the biggest dome which has been evolved in the known human history. I was not knowing this. My Bise is sitting here, who has been my student and a very cooperative person. But this has come up, and we are discussing today on this very issue of what is the pathway for promoting the culture of peace. दुनिया को सुख, समाधान, शांति का मार्ग दिखाने का दायित्व किसके तरफ है? कौन है वो लोग? आपको मालूम है ये कोरोना वायरस कोविड-19 की बाद से दुनिया थोड़ी जाग उठी है. जो मानते नहीं थे वो भी सोचने तो लगे कि भाई है ऐसी कोई शक्ति जिसने सारे दरवाजे बंद कर दिए, सारे मंदिर बंद किए, चर्च बंद किए, मॉस्क बंद किए, गिरजाघर बंद किए, सारे धर्मों के. And all Security Council members of United Nations and the Prime Ministers and the Presidents of the Britain, Russia, America, China, every president was locked down. They were sitting behind the doors. What is the reason? What is that weapon, that minutest of the minutest particle, smallest of the small virus, having only 20% strength of its origin? तो ये मानव निर्मित है क्या ईश्वर नाम की चीज़ है उससे निर्मित है भाई? Is it a natural one or created by human beings? पता नहीं लगा अभी तक, झगड़ा चल रहा है। कौन बोलता है मानव ने निर्माण किया, कोई बोलता है नहीं ईश्वर ने निर्माण किया। ये ईश्वर क्या चीज़ है भाई? गॉड क्या है? इज इट दिस इज एनर्जी, व्यक्ति नहीं, वो शक्ति है। ये सारी बातों का चिंतन इस हॉल में, जिसका नाम है फिलोसोफर संत ज्ञानेश्वरा वर्ल्ड पीस हॉल, जो डोम बना वो भी वर्ल्ड पीस नाम से उभर आया है, जिसको आर्किटेक्ट ने, प्लानर ने, इसे हमेशा बोलता हूँ मैं, ये रियलिटी है। मैं करने वाला कोई नहीं, निमित्त है। और ये सारे मेरे दोस्त भाई जो बैठे हैं यहाँ पे, ये निमित्त है, साथी है। सोच की दिशा तय हो गई। एंड वी हैव बीन सेइंग नाउ दैट वी शुड हैव अ एजुकेशन, research and the technology that we think of should follow a certain path, and that is education, management education, science education। और जिसमें हमने कहा ये नई बात है, लास्ट 2-3 साल के पहले ध्यान में आया कि अपन कौन से रास्ते से जा रहे भाई। एजुकेशन, ये यूनिवर्सिटी की बात हमारे स्वामी जी ने कही कि यहाँ आने के बाद उनको एक अलग सी फीलिंग आ गई। फाइंडिंग द यूनिटी इज द अल्टीमेट एम ऑफ साइंस, ये अल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन की बात है। और सद ज्ञानेश्वर टू अल्बर्ट आइंस्टाइन ये जर्नी है। इट्स अ लॉन्ग इन स्पेस एंड टाइम, दिस इज अ वेरी लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस, बट नेटवर्किंग ऑफ द टू is the duty of teachers like us. We are in the field of education, research। देखो, अंदर से समझने की बात करो और अनुभूति करो भाई। पहले पढ़ो तो सही। बिफोर यू क्रिटिसाइज द स्क्रिप्चर्स, as स्वामी जी वॉज टेलिंग, देखना तो चाहिए ज्ञानेश्वरी क्या है, गाथा क्या है, रामायण क्या है, महाभारत क्या है। यहाँ राम खड़ा है, अयोध्या का राम है, मैं क्यों नहीं वहाँ पे? मेरी क्या औकात है? व्हाट इज द रियल ब्यूटी? सद्गुणों की पूजा यही ईश्वर की पूजा है। जिसे अल्लाह कहो, रहीम कहो, राम कहो, जीसस कहो, बुद्धा कहो, तथागत गौतम बुद्धा, 2600 साल के पहले की बात, 2600 years बैक। द प्रॉफेट मोहम्मद 1400 साल, जीसस क्राइस्ट 2000 साल। कौन से, किस वक्त, किस जगह से, किस देश से, किस कम्युनिटी से ये बयान किया गया? ये सारी बातों का चिंतन करना अपना टीचर लोगों का फ़र्ज़ है। दिस अ कम्युनिटी ऑफ टीचर्स हु हैव बीन वेरी हाईली एजुकेटेड, मेनी ऑफ देम PhD और क्या क्या क्वालिफिकेशन से पता नहीं अलग अलग होगा। लेकिन अल्टीमेटली मैं किसी को अभी पूछ रहा था कि भाई ये शिक्षण किसके लिए होता है, क्या होता है, ये क्या ज़रूरत है, पहले क्या था, अभी क्या है? तो मैं इतना कहूँगा कि टुडे एटलीस्ट आई फील दैट समर्पणानंद जी, आशुतोष जी, अशोक, माय फ्रेंड कामटेकर, एंड संजय उपाध्याय, माय फ्रेंड, आई फील लिटिल एजुकेटेड, थोड़ा सा वाइज लगता हूँ। मुझे आज ऐसे लगा ये संत ज्ञानेश्वर हॉल में जो चिंतन हुआ वो दिल से था। सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है? ये शब्दों का खेल नहीं स्वामी जी, राम साहब, दिस इज नॉट अ प्ले ऑफ वर्ड्स, फ्रॉम द बॉटम ऑफ हार्ट, विथ अ पैशन एंड फायर वन स्पीक्स, इट रीचेस द हार्ट ऑफ अदर्स। वो एक ऐसी जीवन की सबसे बड़ी कला या जादू नहीं, a passion and the fire in the belly of every one of us will show the light, a divine light। यज्ञ से बात चलती है, द डेस्टिनी तय हुई है, द डिवाइन डेस्टिनेशन तय हुआ है। You must know where from we have come, what is our duty, and where are you going. कहाँ जाना है भाई, कहाँ से आए हो. This is understanding of the self, realization of the self. I have been telling you that we have just a very small model on the top of the hill at the back of this hall. ये कल्पना है. ये केमिस्ट्री या फिजिक्स की लेबोरेटरी में मन का अंत नहीं लगता है. मन की खोज करना हो, आत्मा को समझना हो, स्पिरिचुअलिटी को, तो वहाँ जाके बैठो. वो चैतन्य स्वरूप जो वहाँ खड़ा है, आइंस्टाइन भी है, ज्ञानेश्वर है, और न्यूटन है, और हमारे तुकाराम महाराज है. ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन नहीं करते लोग, पागल लोग हमारे जैसे छोड़ के. लेकिन उसके पीछे बहुत देयर इज अ वेरी डीप रूटेड फिलॉसफी, व्हाट वैदिक स्टैंड्स फॉर और व्हाट आवर एंशिएंट इंडियन स्क्रिप्चर्स दे स्टैंड फॉर. लेकिन दोनों को समझने का अपने अपने होने के नाते बता रहा हूँ. रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ आप लोगों को, इसको थोड़ा समझने की कोशिश करो. मुझे यहाँ मालूम है पूना में देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल हु से विथ वेरी ग्रेट प्राइड एंड लिटिल ईगो, हम आलंदी नहीं जाते. ज्ञानेश्वर को देखा तुमने, समाधि को? नहीं, क्या है वहाँ पे? अभी मैं क्या बताऊँ भाई आपको, वो वहाँ क्या है? वहाँ जाओ तो सही. द वाइब्रेशंस you will experience when you sit with a deep, deep rooted meditation, with all the passion and fire, नाम स्मरण की याद करके वहाँ बैठो, अपने को उसकी अनुभूति आ सकती है. इसी हॉल में भी आ सकती है. तो मैं इतना चाहूँगा कि ये जो प्रयास है 27 साल से, 700th एनिवर्सरी ऑफ संजीवन समाधि ऑफ ज्ञानेश्वरा, इसकी शुरुआत हुई, और आज 27th ईयर ऑफ दिस संजीवन समाधि एंडोमेंट लेक्चर सीरीज gives me a satisfaction. And for all these great men sitting here, we have to yet listen to Mr. Ramcharan Sahab. बड़ा जीवन अलग है भाई. मैं अभी ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा. अनुभूति स्वामी जी की दोनों की आज हो गई, लेकिन राम साहब का जीवन एक कोई सन्यासी या स्वामी से, ऋषि मुनि से कम नहीं. इतना ध्यान में रखो. तालियां दे दो उनको. मैं रुक जाता हूँ इसमें. बट बिफोर आई हैव बीन गिवन दी, एक छोटा सा ये सॉल्ट लेक सिटी में मैंने लिखा था, अशोक. दिस वाज वन ऑफ द की नोट स्पीच which I had the fortune of delivering in Salt Lake City. I can't say, but I have a courage. 10,000 delegates. How many? 10,000 delegates from the whole world. Parliament of World Religions, October 15, 20-15 की बात है, सॉल्ट लेक सिटी की बात है. सब्जेक्ट था यूनियन ऑफ साइंस एंड रिलीजन ऑब्लिक स्पिरिचुअलिटी अलोन विल हेल्प टू ब्रिंग हार्मनी एंड पीस टू मैनकाइंड. प्रयास किया है टू एड्रेस दिस होल talented scholarly people of the world community, and I just felt like, my dear learned friends, we are all aware that the entire world today is passing through a tense and chaotic stage, even worse than what was experienced during the two world wars. The present one is also a war between good and evil, sacrifice and greed, virtues and vices, tolerance and stubbornness, religious coexistence and fundamentalism, traditional time-tested values and quick gains and ego and so on. The various issues involved are not only local, restricted to one's own country, but are global as well. The world is witnessing mind-boggling scientific and industrial developments like artificial intelligence, internet, IT, nanotechnology, journey to the outer space and what not on the one hand, while on the other, there is a total chaos, confusion, terrorism, bloodshed and massacre in the name of caste, creed, race, religion and boundaries of nations. It is most unfortunate that in spite of these amazing and wonderful developments for all possible enjoyments, material comforts, for leading a luxurious life and for the welfare of the mankind, the family system, which is vital for our survival, is on the rocks and certainly deteriorating rapidly because of the decline in the mutual faith, affection, true love, loyalty and trust, neglecting their religious duty toward each other, which is the very foundation of the ideal family system. You may not believe that this small quotation I'm tempted to read to you. It is called as a fellowship. It says, friends, we are the birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different tongues. We may believe in different religions. Yet, we may belong to different cultures. Yet, we share the same home, the Mother Earth. Born on the same planet, covered by the same skies, gazing at the same stars, we must learn to progress together or miserably perish together. For a person can live individually but can only survive collectively. ये अथर्ववेद का कोटेशन है, अथर्ववेद का कोटेशन है, 98 में लिखा गया. When I had the fortune of organizing the second World Parliament of Science, Religion and Philosophy in Switzerland, Geneva, वहाँ लिखा गया ये अथर्ववेद का कोटेशन जिनेवा में स्विट्जरलैंड में लिखा जाता है. And that's what I'm trying to present to you again, that please realize, understand all the essence and philosophy of all the ancient, the wisdom through the Vedic and other literatures. And what is the saying of the great scientists of today? They have been advising us. Let me tell you this laboratory. The Penrose has given a message. He is still alive. He says, friends, remember from education, the chancellors, the vice chancellors, the directors, the deans, and the men who have such a wonderful education system, you must start the schools of consciousness and reality. ये जानने की कोशिश करने की ये कॉलेज खुलाओ भाई, यूनिवर्सिटी बनाओ, so that we can understand the essence of both of these aspects of the spiritual component, of the scientific component. Thank you, friends. I am grateful to you.
No. Please rise in your seats and have a huge round of applause for revered founder, Professor Dr. Vishwanath Ji Karad, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring us always, for rising and always committing for excellence. Thank you so much. So before we invite our chief guest of the honor today, we will see a short film on his life and journey. But Professor Ramcharan, sir, would like to humbly say on behalf of all the staff and faculty members that we have a good fortune, many of us have a good fortune of listening to your mesmerizing speeches during pandemic online, and your every word was hitting the heart to drop the mediocrity and to rise in the excellence. And we are going to see you offline today. So please give a huge round of applause to Professor Ramcharan Ji. But first we will look at a small video on his life and journey. That video is also very inspiring. Please play a small video on his.
Thank you.
Dr. Ramcharan is a world-renowned business advisor, author and speaker who has spent the past 35 years working with many top companies, CEOs and boards of directors.
It's not easy. You will make mistakes. Your investors can question you. Those are the real things, but we need to make these things very specific.
He earned his MBA and doctorate degrees from Harvard Business School, where he graduated with high distinction and was a Baker Scholar. Then served on the faculties of Harvard Business School and Northwestern University before pursuing consulting full-time.
I'm selling skills, not MBA degree.
In his work with companies including GE, Bank of America, KLM, DuPont, and Grupo RBS, he is known for cutting through the complexity of running a business in today's fast-changing environment to uncover the core business problem. His real-world solutions, shared with millions through his books and articles in top business publications, have been praised for being practical, relevant, and highly actionable.
And evaluate where your board is and where your board needs.
He is the author of various books on business, including What the CEO Wants You to Know, Confronting Reality, and Know-How and Execution, which was a bestseller. In November 2012, Dr. Ramcharan, along with Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev, guided Insight, the DNA of Success, a leadership program bringing together, for the first time, the tools of professional and personal empowerment.
I'm deeply humbled by this honor and recognition.
Fortune magazine calls him the most influential consultant alive.
If we have the right people in the right job, this is the highest leverage to create value.
We are honored to welcome Dr. Ramcharan.
Stage is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Karad, all the honorable members of the dais. I'm the lucky person to learn all that which has been given to all of us. So I get to steal from there to go forward. Am I coming out clearly to everybody? If not, please raise your hand. There's an echo in the room here, and communication is very important. Close go, yeah. Peace of mind and satisfying the soul. Two items. Peace of mind and satisfying the soul. We live in the world of conflict and competition. Correct? Every day. Conflict internationally. President Putin and Ukraine. People take sides. Iran is sending arms to Russia. Yesterday, it appeared Turkey is going to go into Syria. It's conflict. We have conflict within a nation, do we not? We see that, we hear it. Do we have conflict in the families? Isn't it? Do we have conflict at work? Why? Competition continues. This is the reality. So we say, this is the world we live in. But there is something that we learn from our culture. I come from a town 36 miles from Delhi. At the age of 10, 11, this is now 1949. We have just been given the independence. There are no resources. So the fathers of the town create a makeshift school for us kids. We start on the floor. We have 2 shifts, 7 to 11 and 1 to 5. They found the local instructors, their passion. I can still remember to this day. Sometimes some of them taught us through singing. Real words, I don't mean film music. So now I reflect and look back, and they gave us 3 universal truths. I like to repeat the word, 3 universal truths. I can recite them, even though my memory at the age of 83 is fading. And these words ring in my ears, not just mine, but my classmates. The first universal truth, and I test that in every religion, as Dr. Karar said, I go around the world, in every company, every city, we come with nothing, and we go out with nothing. That's the frame of reference for peace of mind and satisfying the soul. Am I clear? I ask that question every day. If I die today, did I understand? I came with nothing, and I'm going out with nothing. Clear? The second truth, no one of us knows what is the duration of our life. Right? So what you got to do, you do today. You don't leave legacies. You leave your humanity, your service. You're developing people, doing something. And you say, yeah, I got 83 years of my life. I got, with memory, about 75 years. What did I do? What should I have done? What I did not do? I will share with you my life that gives me satisfaction to my soul. And I do have a peace of mind. There are things we do in yoga that helps. So I want to tell you, one of my teachers, we were sitting on the floor, he's having a chair, no desks. Anybody recalls the word takhti? We used to write on the takhti. We didn't have any of those good things. And he would sing. I remember 4 items of the singing, and then I had to figure out the other 3. Why the conflict? Be it globally, be it nationally, be it in your company, be in your section of the world, be it in the family. And the 4 words were bhayam. Everybody understand bhayam? Fear. Bhayam, krodh. Everybody understand? Anger. Alasya, laziness. And Dirk Sutra. They are observable. The other 3, ahankar, ego. Shabdkosh, blind ambition. Just think of these. And then the last one is trishna, greed. I did not invent them. They come from our strictures. They come from Vedas. The leaders of the world are human beings. Isn't it? They are in these 7 items. Blind ambition, uncontrolled ego, unlimited greed. You should call that, see that? They disguise that under the name passion. Fear. I don't want to name the nation, but you can guess. The president of this large nation says, We fear America will attack us. That's why we're doing that. It's verbatim quote, I have it. I work in China, I serve on the boards in Chinese companies. Fear, anger. So now, go back, look at 1950s when I'm a high school student. They show all this. And they teach us that you reflect in your life as you go forward what you did, what you did not do. What are some of the human acts you do? So I'm going to delineate some human acts. I try to practice it. I observe them. As Dr. Karad mentioned, I'm allowed to work with these people who have become multi-billionaires across the globe, not just in India, America, Brazil, China, Japan. It's amazing how common those things are in these people. So first thing I want you to know, they taught us at the high school level. This is not I'm reflecting back because what I do. The most critical part of peace of mind and satisfying the soul is to listen to the person. How many of you have seen in the family, they are arguing and not listening to each other? They're talking at the same time. Have you seen that before? And they're reflecting what were the issues of the past. And that creates conflict. So we're going to do peace of mind, satisfying the soul. Listen to the point of view of the person. Be patient. Peace of mind will come when you say, I understand what is being said and why it is being said. Listen, patience, take a breather. The second part, and it is the most important part, it applies in India-China conflict. It applies America-China conflict. It applies conflict and competition, and that is building trust. No trust, no resolution of conflict. You have to work hard at it and say, can the trust be built? Don't say, we can't build the trust. Keep finding it, how you build trust. Without the trust and without listening, we can't have a peace of mind and do that. But the third part that I have never forgotten, these were to me the jewels of India teaching us kids. And they're never seen as heroes. And that was, is to satisfy your soul. Learn every day. They used to say, nobody can take knowledge away from you. No one can take. Knowledge helps you, peace of mind. Knowledge makes you think that I am moving forward. Knowledge in the right sense of the word, and the knowledge that you're using it. But there was one more thing they drilled in us. And then I'll give you the stories. And they said, the act of kindness. Do in your own way. So in the high school, the principal walks into the class. I come from a low-income family, but we're not starving. And he announces that he is going to take this meager scholarship from the son of a barber. In those days, barbers make very little, if anything. And we will give it to Ram Sharan. This is absolute truth. And I had my face, total lip cut. Our clothes kind of dirty and so on. And he says, this is what we announced to do that. I stand up. You won't believe it what I said. I had no idea, just brought it out. I cannot take bread from somebody else's mouth. Can you imagine the impact on the class? Of course I didn't take it. I had it given him. He called me in his office and he said, "You're going to go a long way." That was a big stimulant. These are the teachers. Find them, recognize them, do that. Now, go forward. I do all these things, you accomplish these things, people glorify you, what you do, exaggerate. But one thing I do in life, I will talk to anybody, anywhere. I give them my personal phone. So one story I will tell you. So I'm in Tokyo, and I'm in the lounge of ANA, and usually I arrive early. So I'm trying to collect some food. And a gentleman in his 55, 56, looks at me, Indian fellow. He says, "Sir, you're so-and-so." I say, "I am so-and-so." He says, "I've got my family here. Would you join us for?" I go down, sit down with him. He has a son there, has a daughter there. So normally I would say, "What you doing? How you doing?" So I asked the son, "What you doing?" He said, "I've just graduated from a university in Canada." "What's the name?" I never heard of it. Most of the time I know. "What did you do?" "What kind of a grade you got?" "Not very good." He told me the grades. I said, "Fine, thank you. Figure this out. Give me your number." He gave me the number. I come to United States. I looked at it, read it, but he gave me. I called up a CEO. And I said, "I think I ranked this young man. Here's the truth. Would you have an interview with him?" Well, I totally forgot. 6 months later, I went to a board meeting. Board meeting finished. The CHRO, the human resource guy, brought this young man. "You see, you recognize him?" I said, "I don't recognize him." Which is truth. Obviously, he's Indian. He touches my feet. He said, "Well, you send this note to the CEO. We recruited him. We were struggling for a problem for 3 months. He solved it in 4 hours. Mediocre grades. He solved the problem in 3 hours. Point. Recognize the God's gift in the human beings. Compliment it. These are simple acts we can do every day. Last story. I'm coming at a young age, in the 1990s or so. I got the invitation to make a presentation to 100 CEOs for the first time. Fortune magazine arranged it, and time slot. So the host called me up and he says, "Ram, it's professor from Columbia wants this badly. Would you not take the slot?" What's the answer? "Yes, you give it to the Columbia professor." Totally forgotten. 2 years later, this host calls me back. He said, "You free on such and such day?" I said, "I am." He said, "Could you make it to Seattle?" I said, "I can." He said, "Well, there is a thing you need to do for Bill Gates." I show up for dinner. He arranged the table, Bill Gates in front of me. On my left is Warren Buffett, on my right is Jack Welch. He did that for 10 continuous years. Where do you get that? Where do you get that? My point is not that I was expecting a reward, but somebody saw the element of sacrifice. The world is not running out. Have resilience, have patience. We practice the peace every day. We build the trust every day. It will be contagious. It will energize people. So now I want to take you through what's coming in 2023. This is what I do with the businesses. It's not pleasant. I want to prepare you. Today, the world is run by 6 human beings. Let me repeat. This is not hairy story. Today the world is run by 6 human beings. It is real. I try to watch it every day, every moment, every side. 1, President Xi of China. 2nd, President Putin of Russia. 3rd, the Crown Prince of Saudi, MBS. Putin and MBS control the price of energy. We have energy issue in India. Everybody clear? Ayatollah of Iran is sending the drones to Russia. So how many people I told you so far? 4. The 5th one that is going to affect more, us. That person is appointed on elected basis. He is the chairman of Federal Reserve. He is increasing interest rates. He's going to mop the excess liquidity. Dollar is higher and our currency is being devalued. We pay more for that things we import. He has announced it, he's going to do it, and the recession in the United States has begun. Stagflation is happening in Europe. It is not a good picture. And then President Biden is responding what to do. Watch their behaviors, how this 2023 is going to evolve. All of you reading in the United States, the layoffs have begun. India will not have recession. The rate of growth will decline. I compliment the finance minister and the Reserve Bank. They've done an absolutely great job in 75 years of our independence of managing currency and managing the flow of funds. I absolutely say this is the best job is there, and I have no better solutions for that part of it. But those multinationals operating in India, they will have layoffs. Do it, humankind. Listen carefully. Keep ways to reduce anxiety. Be honest. Have integrity. What we have in Indians, me too, is the values that we have come in us from 5,000 years. Ask them, repeat them, use them. No blind ambition, no greed, just simple little things. We live in this world of competition and conflict. Wherever you go, build trust, see the positives in the beings, reinforce. Do the act of kindness. Sometimes it takes only 30 seconds. We are Indian for a reason. Our culture is more than 5,000 years old. And with 350 years of rule by outsiders, the culture has survived. Take it forward. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I just request all the audience to rise in their seats and to give a huge round of standing ovation to Professor Ram Charan ji, Swami Samarpanananda ji, and Swami Ashutosh Urstrabil ji. The clapping should not stop, friends. Let's give a huge round of applause for all these stalwarts of
Friends,
today's inaugural session.
I'm again taking a little liberty as one of the organizers that today it seems to me ये Sant ज्ञानेश्वर हॉल पवित्र हो गया, ऐसे मुझे लगता है, पावन हो गया। ये कहने की बात इसलिए है कि ये संजोग है महाराज जी। आप भी इधर खड़े हो जाइए, काशी बनारस से। देखो ये तीनों ब्रह्मचारी लोग हैं, आपको पता नहीं होगा, ये स्वामी जी, रामचरण एंड हमारे दूसरे स्वामी जो आए हैं, तीनही ब्रह्मचारी आहेत. आशुतोष जी, हा योग आहे का नाही, हे ठरवून झालेलं नाही. हे का सांगतोय, इसमें त्याग और समर्पण का सबसे बड़ा मूल्य होता है. राम हु स्पोक टू यू फॉर सम टाइम, तुम्हाला माहिती सांगतो, यांनी लग्न केलेलं नाही, संसार नाही, अमेरिकेमध्ये 50 वर्ष राहून स्वतःचं घर नाही. विचार करा नीट, स्वतःचा बंगला नाही, घर नाही, कुठल्याही प्रकारचा नाही. एका लेक्चरला कमीत कमी $50,000. विचार करा. तुम्हाला सर काय थापा मारता का, कसं काय सर? नहीं 2000, 10,000 जो भी आपको अभी शायद पता लगेगा. 2 लाख बोलता है, नहीं 2 लाख में मुझे विश्वास नहीं होता है. अशोक, सम्राट अशोक माझा मित्र, तो मला करेक्शन करतो की 2 लाख पाऊंड, 2 लाख डॉलर. मला काय म्हणायचं मित्र हो, की तिन्ही व्यक्ती आज अशा इतक्या त्याग आणि समर्पणाची मूर्ती, आणि तेही या संत ज्ञानेश्वराच्या नावाने ज्ञान विज्ञानाची भाषा बोलून आपल्या जीवनाला एक दिशा देण्याचं कार्य झालं, याच्याकरता मला खूप समाधान आहे. मी विनंती करतो की मी आता असं म्हणालो, आमचे काशीचे योगेंद्र मिश्रा शेजारी उभे आहेत. काशी विश्वनाथ मंदिराच्या समोर माझ्या मनात आला, आता त्याला काय सहकार्य होईल माहीत नाही, पण तिथं तो विश्वशांती यज्ञ आणि विश्वशांती विश्वधर्माची एक चिंतन 9 फेब्रुवारी, आता मी तेच पाहत होतो इथे. तुम्हाला चालतं आहे का बघा माहीत नाही, पण अशी एक कल्पना मनामध्ये, काही कारण आहे, पण असं घडत नाही की 3 ब्रह्मचारी एकाच वेळा या मंचावर यावे आणि संत ज्ञानेश्वराच्या नावाचं चिंतन व्हावं. याच्याकरता तुम्ही मनापासून, अगदी अंतःकरणापासून जोरदारपणे टाळ्या वाजवून त्यांना हे करा किंवा नाही. जोरदार जोरदार जोरदार, पैसे लागत नाही. मित्र हो, मिलिंद पांडे आणि मिलिंद पात्रे, दोघांना मी धन्यवाद देतो की तुम्ही हे नियोजन करताना एवढी काळजी घेऊन, इतकी चांगली माणसं, अशोक, सम्राट अशोकाच्या शेजारी आम्ही उभे आहोत, याचा आनंद आहे मला. धन्यवाद तुम्हाला.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it was a great event, inaugural event. Everything must come to an end, good or bad. Even though it is a very magnanimous event, but it must come to an end. And I will request Honorable Vice Chancellor of MIT World Peace University, Dr. R.M. Chitnis sir, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Patre sir. It is great pleasure and honor to propose a vote of thanks for this inaugural ceremony of 27th Endowment Lecture Series. On behalf of our founder president, UNESCO chairholder, and the brain and heart behind this endowment lecture series, beloved revered Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir, our managing trustee and executive president, Shri Rahul Vishwanath Karad sir, esteemed trustee members of MIRS MIT Group of Institutions, faculty, staff, and students of MIT World Peace University. On behalf of all of them, we are extremely grateful to the chief guest of this inaugural session and an internationally acclaimed management guru, Professor Ramcharan sir, who has always been guiding us in our endeavors of excellence and global recognition. Sir, once again, thank you on behalf of all of us here. We are grateful and thankful to our special guest of honor, Swami Samarpanananda ji and Swami Ashutosh Urs Straubel ji, for blessing this ceremony with their gracious presence and address. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ashok Joshi sir, may I say Samrat, who himself is a distinguished scientist having more than 150 American patents to his credit for being here. Our sincere thanks to Dr. Sanjay Kametkarji, who is an avid researcher and our advisor for research activities, for his address, which just finished in 5 minutes. We thank our own Dr. Sanjay Upadhyayji, renowned motivation speaker and our whole-time advisor, for our faculty, staff, as well as students for gracing this inaugural ceremony. And finally, thank you all who have gathered here in large numbers to witness this spectacular inaugural ceremony of the 27th Endowment Lecture Series. My dear colleagues, in the next 6 days, we all will keep coming here every day, morning 2 sessions and evening 1 session. But prior to that, yoga session every day for an hour under guidance of yoga gurus from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. May I request all of you to kindly use your WhatsApp almost for next 6 hours and inform all the faculty members as a gentle reminder to be there on the first day at 6:45 a.m. between 6:45 a.m. till 6:55 a.m. and automatically day after they will come on time. A request to all administration and faculty colleagues to use WhatsApp for next 3-4 hours and remind them. With this wonderful session, I will call it as a spiritual extravaganza, has come to close. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Jai.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We are going to conclude this session with National Anthem, but before that, yes. So we also thank the digital, the printing, the YouTube and various channels and all the press media for being here and for promoting the cause of world peace. Thank you so much. We are going to end the session, inaugural session with National Anthem. But before that, a few announcements for tomorrow's sessions. Tomorrow at 8:45, we are going to have Dr. Bhavarth Dekhne, eminent scholar of saint and spiritual literature, and he is going to speak on Adhyatma and Jivan. Then we are going to have 10:30 a.m. another eminent scholar, Honorable Brigadier Syed Ahmed Ali, ex-Pro Vice Chancellor, Aligarh Muslim University, and he is going to speak on peace and compassion in Islam. And we are also going to have our own Honorable Dr. S.N. Pathan sir, and he is going to speak on Sahishnu Bharat, Sampanna Bharat. At the same time, in the evening 4:30 session, we are going to have a huge bonanza. We are going to have Minister of Education for Higher Education, Government of Maharashtra, Honorable Chandrakant Dada Patil, and he is going to speak on National Education Policy, Rashtriya Shikshan Dhoran, and along with that there is an unveiling of the book Vedic Mantras for a Disease-Free Life, written by Dr. Mohan Keshav Phadke. So these are the programs, and as already mentioned by Honorable VC sir, morning 7 to 8, yoga at the sprawling lawns in front of the Dnyaneshwara Hall. So thank you so much, and I request all of you to rise in your seats for Pasaidan, the universal anthem, the universal song. Please rise in your seats.